Good afternoon and welcome along to Training Tuesday. Hello to the usual faces. I can see you saying hello in the chat already. Tommy, who else have we got here? Mehmet. Oh look, we've even got someone in their own office there. Hello, Wool. You'll probably be walking past the door and waving shortly. Nice to have you with us this week. As always, it's a completely live session, so anything could happen. We are streamed both to Facebook and YouTube. If you do have any questions, please do drop them in either chat and I'll try and keep up with both windows and see what's going on. Today, as always, I try and give you a preview of the up and coming things before we officially release them. Well, today on the GeNetix side of things, it's been a little while since we did some new features for our GeNetix node, so we've added a couple more features to our GeNetix node, and all being well, we'll be releasing some new firmware for them, our GeNetix version 3 firmware, just before Plaza in a few weeks' time. So watch this space and a little preview of what's to come here. We'd love to see how those of you that have got GeNetix nodes and GeNetix products are using them, so please do. Let us know how you're using it. What's the application you're using for? Any feedback, anything you'd like to see on the nodes? We'd love to hear from you as well. We take it as no news is good news from you all out there, given the hundreds of them that are out there, but we'd love to hear from you all. Anyway, so what have we added? Well, GeNetix version 3 firmware. It's more about some install type features. We've added a couple of new install features. So I've got myself here a laptop running the Magic Q software, which you'll be able to see on the screen now. There we go. And if I jump back into the room here, I'm just networked out by a nice bright red cable, so you can see it here. One cable that goes straight from my laptop into my node. This could be a console here in place of the laptop. From the node, I'm just straight traditional 5-pin DMX out of the node and into a lovely Chauvet professional fixture on the counter here, a Colorado 1 Solo Par. So that's a very simple setup here. I've also got myself a 10-scene wall plate, which is just connected to the 10-scene port on the back of the node. So as I said, the new features in version 3 are more focused on the install side of things. The node is already set up here, so if I jump into Magic Q here, you can see if I go to my patch window, I've already patched this Colorado 1 Par here. I've patched it on Universe 1 Channel 1, and it's in Tour mode. If I go into my setup, I go to my Net Manager window. In fact, let's take a step back and just check in my DMX.io window in setup, DMX.io, Universe 1 is being output via ArtNet Universe 0. If I go to Net Manager, I can see my GM5 node. I've already configured it with a 10.IP to match my laptop. Obviously we won't go through the setting an IP, we've done that hundreds of times in Training Tuesdays. So I can see the node on the port side of things. You can see it's set port 1 to ArtNet Universe 0. So if I go to my Layout 1 window and I click on the thing and locate it, you can see in the room here, this has come on white. Excellent, I've got control. Great. So all of our GeNetix nodes can store scenes on them. They can store 10 static scenes, and basically we can do a snapshot of what the ports are doing if you save it via the web server, or we can load scenes in from Magic Q or Quick Q. But if you're using another console, maybe unfortunately you haven't got the pleasure of working with a ChamSys console, you've been given another console, you're using the house console, you're forced to what was in the room unfortunately. How can I save scenes? Well, you could use the web server. All of the GeNetix nodes can support scene storage on them, so I've got a GN5 on the counter here. Our GN10s, GN2s, even the installed GW2 wall plates, and our GN4 IP, of course things like the 10 scene store as well, all of them can store 10 static scenes on them. So what we've added in V3 firmware, if I jump here into Magic Q, I'm going to set the par to magenta quickly. I'm going to go to my setup window, Net Manager. If I go to the options for my GN5 here, we've added a new option here, called 10 scene programming, and if I enable that, well, one, it gives me a way of locking the programming on the device, but it also now gives me a handy little function that I can now store the scene by just pressing and holding the button, as you could actually have done already on products like our 10 scene store. So I can press and hold button number 6, hold it for 5 seconds. You might have seen the camera there, all the lights flash blue for a second and have now gone off. Okay, I'm going to store another scene. I'm going to go and change the color of my part to, let's say, an amber color here. How well that looks on the camera, I'm not sure. But I'm going to press and hold again. And after 5 seconds, it's now flashed and it's stored that scene. So it's storing the scene onto the device here. It's essentially, it's snapshotting whatever's going out of the ports of this node and storing that as a scene. Now, the other thing we've added, and you guys have been asking for this for installation purposes, if I go to my Net Manager window, so, okay, I can lock my programming. If I disable that, I can press and hold a button that won't store a scene anymore. The other thing we've added is this 10 scene priority, where we have two options. We either have below or above input now. So this is talking about the priority of the 10 scenes that are stored on this node. Is the priority of these above or below the incoming data input? So this is ideal if I'm installing this anywhere. Maybe it's fixed in a venue and I want to use this as a house light controller. Or it could also be on that festival somewhere where you've got some basic states up for changeover or something. And what do you want the priority? Do I want to have to come and remember to turn off the scenes? So right now, you can see I've set this to below input. So I'm saying that the 10 scene priority is below the input of an incoming console. So actually, if I was to go and activate a scene, activate scene 6, which is my par in magenta, you can see it's not magenta, it's still in the amber color here. In fact, if I clear my program in Magic Key, you'll see the light goes off. But the scene is flashing. So actually what happens is I've got blue buttons for stored scenes, red is the active scene. The red active scene button is just pulsing at me to show me that scene's active, but it's not actually outputting. If I was to now disconnect the console, so in between my changeover, maybe in the venue, the house console's been turned off, end of the show, console gets shut down. I'm going to simulate that by pulling out the cable. So now it's just node to here. You can see that scene has now detected. It does do a detect time in case there's any drop packets, and it's now outputting scenes from my device. So if I go and activate scene 7, you can see it's gone the orange color, 6 back to magenta. I think I stored a scene 1 and 2 as well on here. There you go, and back to 6 in magenta. So I can now run the scenes on the panel itself. If I plug in the console, the node will detect the console and it will automatically switch off the scene. As you can see here, it's now gone back to the console. So if I go here and I locate, you can see I'm now in control from the console again. Now, although this is scenes priority from the 10 scene panel, we have thought about what about the trigger on the back. Maybe you've got an emergency type trigger or you want an override. So if I go into Net Manager and options, you have your 10 scene contact mode, which I've got at the moment is on push button, but I could say enable when closed, and then I can choose sorry, I'm going to the wrong option here. Leave that as push button. This is for a 10 scene contact device. I want to go to trigger mode here, which says scene active, and I'm going to choose here scene active while closed. I'm going to pick my trigger scene. I'm going to pick scene 6, which should be the part in magenta. And if I press the button here, you can see probably just about on camera, as I press and release the button here, that scene can still be output. So actually, this is a standard 10 scene wall plate, but I've just glued in the bottom of it just a contact close button. So I'm not actually pressing the 10 scene buttons here. I'm opening and closing the contact. There's a dry contact trigger on the back of the nodes as well on that 10 scene port. So even though I'm in console has priority, I can still output a scene by an emergency trigger. I just can't output scenes by the 10 scene buttons. So it kind of locks those out if those are based around the venue there. So yeah, you have got the other option then for this 10 scene priority mode here. I could set it above input. So I could say that actually when I have a scene active by the button panel here, that takes priority over an incoming console if I want to do it that way around. So there you go. A couple of new features in GeNetix version 3 firmware. As I said at the top there, would love to hear how you guys are all using GeNetix nodes out there, what your feedback on them. Is there anything you'd like to see on the nodes? We'd love to hear it from you. Yeah, that's it. Looking forward to getting this released over the next few weeks' time. Watch this space and see you again on Tuesday next week for another Training Tuesday.